you'll feel them disappear. They'll be there, but like a cone of silence will go down. They'll look in your eyes, they might nod, they'll look at their phone. Hi, welcome to the channel. I tend to talk about narcissistic patterns that I've come into contact with so that my experiences can help other people. So there's a pattern that I notice which is what I'm going to call a pattern of absence. And for me, it took a long time for me to wrap my head around this because I couldn't figure out what was going on, which is par for the course, obviously. With narcissists, confusion is one of the key tools that they used to keep us trapped and playing their game instead of getting the hell out of there so that we can go and do something that is actually worthwhile for us. So this pattern of absence, to me, it's this sense constantly that there is something omitted from your experience with a narcissist. Oftentimes this won't show up when they're in their charismatic, fun, and lively moods. It'll usually show up in quieter moments, and it'll definitely show up if there's any kind of distress being felt by you or any other party. They have various ways of making their inability to understand other people's distress and discomfort. They have lots of ways of making it look like they're just uncomfortable or they're superior to it. But in fact, it's foreign, it's alien to them, and it seems to bore and irritate them. It came across to me via this pattern of absence, especially at times when I would try to share something that was important or that had happened or that mattered, that required one to go deeper and speak at a deeper level, or at least emote or give the kind of body language that is more appropriate to that sort of interaction. One thing I specifically noticed was hugs, and this I've noticed with more than one narcissist. They seem to understand that in times of distress or when someone is feeling down, that if they offer a hug, then it makes them look like they're a caring person. It makes them look good, effectively, which is what they're always trying to do. And a hug is something very tangible. It's something very meaningful. When you hug somebody, especially someone that you don't know as well or that you may not hug as frequently, that feeling is charged, and you can sense the person giving of themselves to you in that interaction. And that's what we usually use hugs for. We give someone a hug because we are offering them more of ourselves in that moment because we know that they're feeling down or feeling less than, and we want to contribute and donate of our calmness, of our presence, of our support via that expression, via that hug. I have never felt such cold hugs as I have from narcissists. It is palpably absent of human emotion, of human connection. The first time it ever happened to me, a friend of mine had just died, and I was sharing with some of the people in my community what had happened. I had gone to a little get-together about a week after the fact, and I just told everyone, like, if I'm a little bit low energy or if I seem a bit down, don't worry, it's just that I've had a friend pass away, so I'm just feeling a little more tender. I was trying to explain myself, so naturally people were coming up to me and giving me hugs and just showing their support. On that day, the narcissist was also there and gave me a hug. And it was the most, I've never forgotten it, and this was perhaps 6 years ago. The most empty, the most absent. And what was interesting too, is it had an edge to it, like an edge of coolness, like too cool. And it had an edge of charisma, like, how awesome am I for giving you this super supportive hug when someone you cared about died. It felt like that. So absent of genuine, soft, humble human connection, but what was present as like a veneer. I know this sounds weird, but a lot of these things are so symbolic, they're visceral, they can be felt in the body. even when our minds intellectualize them away. So it felt like an empty thing with a veneer of bravado. So that was weird. But that was like my first real encounter, and not my last, with how narcissists reveal themselves, if you're paying attention, via physical intimacy, be it a hug or various other forms of interacting physically. Not always, but I think it tends to come out the most when it's a situation where they are supposed to be reassuring you, making you feel better, and that's something that they never do, never can do, and actually don't want to do. So it's definitely extremely performative in those moments. And of course, this is just one big example of what I've noticed. For me, this pattern of absence would come up all the time, especially speaking to a narcissist, sharing my thoughts or feelings. Definitely, if you're sharing your feelings, you'll feel them disappear. They'll be there, but like a cone of silence will go down. They'll look in your eyes, they might nod, they'll look at their phone, they'll look out the window, they'll get distracted by a butterfly. Even if they stay with you because you go, what's going on? I feel like I've lost you. They'll first guilt you and say you're making things up, which you aren't. Be reassured you aren't. If you manage to get a captive audience and you pin the narcissist down and say, look, you can't walk off when I'm trying to share something important with you, that's not going to work. So you'll have them and they'll stay there, but then they'll turn their body side onto you. They'll do everything within their power to escape you while still being there. And then if you still object, they'll make an even bigger fuss, because how can you prove what you're saying? It's very difficult within the framework that our society understands. They didn't say anything bad. They didn't leave. They stayed. They listened. They've got all the justifications, but you can sense that they've taken off. They're missing in action. And you'll see this in various forms constantly. But you kind of have to know what you're looking for, because a lot of the time we're approaching these interactions looking for what is being done wrong. Because we feel something's wrong, so we're looking for what's being done wrong. We're not looking for what is missing, what is absent, because we don't have this full inventory within our minds, within our conscious, logical mind. We don't have this full inventory of what each interaction in human life should feel like in any given situation. We don't logically have that. We have it in our bodies. We have it intuitively. We know when something's off. We know when something feels wrong and it doesn't match up. But a lot of that, as I say, is unconscious, subconscious. And so when we are prompted to explain, like, what are you on about? You're so sensitive. Like, what is the problem? What did I do? All we've got to say oftentimes is, it didn't feel right. I know you're not we look crazy, we sound crazy, we know we're not crazy, but we don't know how to explain it, because we do know the difference. Whether or not we can explain it, we are aware of the difference, and that is what gives us that sense of dismay, that sense that something is wrong, because having gone through life, we've collected data in our nervous system, in our bodies, to know what is a safe and real interaction with another person. And we've also collected data on what indicates to us that something is being hidden or something is missing that would make this a complete, safe, trustworthy interaction with another person. And this pattern of absence constantly gives you this feeling that where you have come to the table expecting and offering a complete interaction, what you're being met with and the result of your interaction is a partial one that feels like something's missing, something's lacking, something that should be there isn't there, and it doesn't feel good. And again, it's that aspect that is trying to pique your attention. It's trying to tell you that what you are perceiving as a real interaction, one where you're being supported, where you're being listened to, is in fact not real. What you think is real is not real. You're being told it's real. You're being given a performance that it's real. But your detection systems for what is real, let me tell you, are gargantuan. They are amazing. But we've been taught to not listen to them, to put them aside, because the world we live in, the relationships, unfortunately, that we find ourselves in, benefit from us not trusting our innate knowing. So we are taught to override them. But this is one of those areas where you are able to sense, even if you haven't been given the vocabulary, you haven't been given the toolkit to understand why you know what you know, you do know it. And in this case, you don't know it because something is being done in addition, you know because something is lacking, right? There is a veneer, there is a facade, but the substance, the stability, and the true core, why you came for that interaction, is missing. You didn't come for someone to put their arms around you. You didn't come for a vacant stare. You didn't come for words of reassurance. You came for genuine hug with real intention and soft eyes that had understanding and words that were not just pretty sounding, but representative of true connection and true feeling. And when you don't get what you came for, you know it. Listen to that. I hope this was helpful and gave you some food for thought. If you enjoyed the video and found it informative, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Till next time.